Welcome back to Dry Hollow Homestead. This is Danielle, and I'm going to give you one of my favorite fermented vegetable recipes. We're going to use cauliflower, that's our main ingredient, some jalapenos, garlic, and carrots and onion, and then we need a brine. So anytime you're fermenting veggies, you need a saltwater brine. Half a cup per gallon of water, so I just have half a gallon of water here with a quarter cup of salt. Did I say salt? Yeah. So I'm going to first prep my veggies. I'm going to just quarter. I hear a baby coming. He thinks I'm talking to myself in here. Hi, honey. I'm going to go ahead and eighth my onion. Most of these are from the garden, not the cauliflower. I'm going to throw them in a bowl. I went ahead and peeled these carrots before we got on camera. I'm just doing 2 carrots. You can pick. If you don't like a lot of spice, you can change some of these and not do as many jalapenos. Alright, throw them in our bowl. Now, when you're doing a ferment, you can mix it together in stainless steel, but you do not want it to ferment in anything like this. The acid that you create is going to interfere with that metal. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to cut up our cauliflower. I'd love to say that I grew this, but that's not true at all. I never get a good cauliflower harvest. We're just going to cut them into little flowerets. You don't even really need to cut. You can just kind of break them off. I canned up pizza sauce, and I just heard a little pop over there, so that's a nice sound for a canner. We are a homesteading family of 8, with one who is flown the coop, he's 20, so he's not always here, and one that is 10 months, so he is always here and pretty close by at all times. You just kind of want to keep in mind that you want your veggies to be about equal in size because they are going to ferment at different times depending on how thick you make them. I hope you can see. So with the jalapenos, we're just going to chop it. I'm not going to take the seeds and stuff out. Of all of them. I will choose probably 2 or 3 to keep all the seeds in, and then I am going to take it out. I thought twice about that because, yeah. Okay, there's my veggies. I'm going to give them a little toss. I'm going to add oregano to this, about a tablespoon or 2 of dried oregano. And I'm going to give them a toss. Now I need a vessel to actually ferment this in, so I'm going to go find myself a nice jar. Either a crock would work great, or a glass mason jar, ½ gallon or a gallon. I might actually need a gallon for this amount. Here is a gallon jar. So I'm going to go ahead and add my veggies. They look so beautiful. Remember, we made the brine earlier. It's just water and salt, which is all you need to ferment veggies. I made ½ a gallon of brine. So we'll see if I need more. I am blessed enough to have grape leaves. Here, baby. I'm blessed enough to have grape leaves outside right now, so I'm going to go and fetch some. That is going to be my top layer to keep my veggies submerged under the brine. That is the most important thing when you're fermenting, is that your food stays below the brine level. Let's go ahead and add our salt brine. I went ahead, ooh, it's heavy. Mixed up another ½ gallon of salt brine too. Because you really want about 3 inches of space between your veggies and the top of your jar with your brine in it. I got a baby helping me. You're so much help. And then my 6-year-old went and grabbed me some grape leaves. The grape leaves do a couple things. They are going to keep our vegetables down below. That's what the thought is here. The brine. I go ahead and put a weight also to keep them so that I have more gap between the veggies and the top of my jar. And that these weights are invaluable when you're in the kitchen trying to ferment. I just get them off Amazon. There's lots of different options. Okay, so I have my grape leaves on top of my veggies, keeping them underneath the surface of this brine. That is the most important part of any of your ferments, natural ferments, is keeping them under the brine level, your veggies that you're going to be. Now I'm going to put a loose fitting lid. Oops, got quite a bit of food on top, and then we're going to sit this in a cool place outside of the direct sunlight. You don't want the sun shining straight on it. And then we're gonna start tasting this. We'll let it ferment, and when this gets kind of cloudy, we're gonna taste it. And when it gets to the taste that you like, that's when we are going to move on to the next part. Our fermented vegetables have been sitting on the counter for about 12 days. And I tried them and they tasted great, so I put them in the fridge. I want to walk you through the process that led me to know that I need to try it and that it's getting fermented. One of the things that I was looking for was a cloudy brine. This brine is not as clear as it was. It's kind of cloudy, like I said. The veggies are a little more dull. They're not as vibrant as they were. And all of my seasonings dropped to the bottom. So that lets me know that there's been a process working in here. So to go ahead and give it a try at that point. You want to use something that's non-reactive, something like plastic or wooden, to get a vegetable out, a piece of cauliflower, whatever it is that you're doing in your brine, and try it. Whenever it tastes sour enough for you, you go ahead and store it in the fridge. If you have a big container like this though, you might want to put it in something smaller, which is what I'm going to do right now. You want to use non-reactive things like plastic funnel. Pull out any of the vegetables that are floating. I'm going to go ahead and put those in my scrap pile because they have been exposed to oxygen during this fermentation time. A more fitting utensil for this job would probably be better, and it's just a couple, for me it was a couple carrots that have floated up, not a big deal. Okay, so with our non-reactive utensils, we have scooped out our veggies, and now we're just going to pour brine on top of it. I'm running out of camera space, so I've already recorded this, and that's why. So make sure you do not dispose of this brine as you're doing that. You want to pour your brine over top of your already fermented vegetables, and you're going to do the same process. You want to keep your veggies under your brine while it's in the fridge. So like I said, I have these ferment weights, these glass ferment weights. They fit down in glass jars, wide mouth glass jars perfectly. So I will just add them to my jars. You can also use one of your grape leaves. You should probably use a fresh grape leaf, but I am now in the season where there are no leaves on my grapevines. I couldn't do any video on fermenting veggies without suggesting that you pick up this book off Amazon. Sometimes I even buy it off eBay, depending on whether I can find it used on Amazon or not. This is a really great resource for tons of different recipes if you enjoy this type of food. It has lots of troubleshooting things in here too, so if you have an issue, you probably will find the answer here. This has been a great resource for me. I really suggest it. Also, these weights. So now that we have our veggies in our newer containers, our clean containers that are going in the fridge, it's good to put a weight down and keep your veggies below the surface of your brine, just like when we're fermenting. And I'm going to do that with the rest of mine, and I'm going to store it in the fridge. So we absolutely adore fermented carrots. So I make carrot sticks and ferment them the exact same way I did this. I usually just do a quart for the carrot sticks, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a gallon this time. And it's really good idea if you're not sure if you want to take, if you're not really sure if your family's gonna enjoy this, go ahead and just try a quart at a time. You don't have to go all in with a gallon. Now the ratio for brine is going to be the same. So for a quart of water, you're going to use 1/8 of a cup of salt. So that's the ratio throughout. So you're going to want to make sure you just keep that ratio the same, no matter if you're doing a quart or a half a gallon or a gallon, just keep that in mind. But yeah, that is my kids' favorite ferment that I do is the carrot sticks. And it doesn't take, but I think like 4 or 5 days for a quart to actually ferment. And I would check more often if you are doing a smaller ferment. So yeah, thank you so much for coming by the Homestead. I hope I've helped you in some way, inspire you to do some kind of fermented vegetable. Let me know in the comments below what your family enjoys eating like this. I'm always looking for some more suggestions and ways to get probiotics into our family. Thank you for coming by the Homestead. God bless, and I speak Jesus over you. Bye.